Dear OSPOs friends, I wanted to follow up after our amazing week in New York for the OSPOs for Good event organized at the United Nations office. I want to express my gratitude to the tech envoy Amandip Gill, and not only him, but also all his team. This event is absolutely an important event for all of us. It's absolutely a great initiative that the United Nations, through the Tech Envoy, has taken to take the leadership about OSPOs, OSPOs for Good, AI and open source. It's absolutely important moment to have such kind of issues, debates that there are taken place at this institutional level. We were more than 500 people there to discuss about open source, how open source can contribute for a better world, to have more positive impact for the people, for the society, and for the planet. I was absolutely glad to have the opportunity to express our view about open source and AI. We do think at LINAGORA that we need true open source software for AI. What we call true open source AI is defined by these three following criteria. First, a true open source AI is an AI without any restriction of use. Second point, true open source AI is a model that is delivered with a full transparency about the methodology that have been used to train the model. And last but not least, to have a true open source AI, we need to have access to the dataset that has been used to train the model, and we need to have this dataset under license that allows anyone to use this dataset to train again the model. It means to have this dataset under free and open source licenses. I know that for some of you, this point of view that we promote with LINAGORA and with the community Open LLM France is a little bit strict, is a little bit, even maybe for some of you, let's say, extreme. But I do think it's by being clear in our definitions, we will be able to build the trust that we need about terms, about definition, and about what is really open source AI. We need this transparency, we need these explanations, because like that people, they will be able to believe truly in open source AI. And why it's so important to have true open source AI? Because AI is languages and math. And inside languages, you have all the culture of a civilization. Not only the national culture, but think about it, also the regional cultures, the local cultures, but even the indigenous cultures is set inside the languages. So if we want to preserve all these different cultures, all these different civilizations, we need to have a diversity in AI. We don't need to belong to only few major models that have been trained only on English datasets with, let's say, the things simply, only the west parts of the view of the world. So we need to have a full diversity of point of views, on approaches, of visions of the world. It's a huge challenge. And my point of view on that is the only way to tackle this major issue is to develop true open source AI. So this major challenge can be fixed only through cooperation between public and private sector, but we need also to have the institutions and international institutions with all the stakeholders to work together to tackle these kind of challenges. I think it's the role of specific agencies such as UNESCO, for example, but we need a global framework of public policies to support digital commons and to support open source AI, to make all these terms more clear, to have clarification, but also to find the way to finance this cooperation, this international cooperation. I have explained during this event how Europe and France have decided to move on these issues together. Europe has decided to create absolutely a brilliant initiative called Euro HPC. Through that, they have financed some national projects to develop national clusters. In France, this national cluster is owned by GENSI, belong to CNRS, our national agency for research. So the GENSI manage a cluster named JANZE, which is one of the biggest clusters that we have in France, in Europe, and even in the world. And this cluster is available for anyone who does open science and even more open source to train models and to deliver open source AI. As LINAGORA, with the community OpenLLM France, we had the opportunity to use this JANZE cluster to train our new model called Lucy. Lucy will be the first free and open source, totally open source AI model. Lucy will be available for anyone, and especially for the countries from the global south. Because one of the issues for these countries is, of course, to have access to the compute resources. But I don't think that we need to have clusters everywhere in the world. We need to have clusters that we will share with anyone in the world. In France, our electricity is cheap, comes from nuclear plants, it's green electricity, and so we have a role to play to deliver these huge clusters. And after to have create the exascale program to finance this upgrade of JANZE, I pledge to have a zetascale plan in Europe, in France, because we still need to invest. It's an ongoing process. We don't need to stop to invest, because if not, we will be unable to fight in terms of competition in front of the big giants. And we need, one more time, to have alternative AI, open source AI. And the only way to do that, of course, it's to rely also on public infrastructure, on public clusters. And that's the way we can leverage our cost in terms of R&D and to do as good as the big tech does. It's possible. We show that every day with the community OpenLLM France and OpenLLM Europe. So I'm absolutely confident that we can succeed all together if we work closely between the public and the private sector, if we are able to find new way of doing R&D, to create coalitions, communities, such as, for example, the one we have created in France with this community OpenLLM France, which is now with more than 850 researchers, engineers, that they think that it's absolutely needed to create true and open source AI models. I would like to take the opportunity of this video to remember to all of you that in Paris, in February, will happen the AI World Summit. After London, Paris took the initiative to organize this AI World Forum, and one of the main topics will be about open source AI. So if you want to go on this discussion and to understand how altogether we could tackle these challenges, please put in your agenda this Summit Paris for AI, the 10 and 11 of February. On our side, at LINAGORA, we will keep on working on these issues. We will push these challenges at the highest level as possible. You know that I do think that the new Commission should take the initiative to work on an open source act. I already made proposals on the table about it. So please, if you want to contribute, if you want to work with us to push these issues, do not hesitate to take contact. It will be my pleasure with you to make things happen.